If this video gets interrupted, it's more than likely because the police will be at the door, because my neighbors probably called them because they heard me screaming at the top of my lungs at the TV. Apparently now, the safest, most healthiest place you could have ever been the last 2 months was on the beach in Florida. Yes, that's what they just said. As if last night wasn't good enough where the doctor came out and said, 2 months ago, we really didn't have any idea how the virus transmitted, but we told you what you should do to avoid it. You're not going to believe this. I'm sure some of you are watching it. I thought last night was bad. Oh, that's nothing. Wait until you see this. I'm going to let the guy speak, and I'm not going to promise to not scream again, because this is ridiculous. Without any further delay, this is William Bryan, DHS Undersecretary for Science.
And while that's coming up, our most striking observation to date is the powerful effect that solar light appears to have on killing the virus, both surfaces and in the air. We've seen a similar effect with both temperature and humidity as well, where increasing the temperature and humidity, or both, is generally less favorable to the virus. So let me illustrate with this first slide. If you look to the right, you'll see that term half-life with a bunch of timestamps on there. First, let me tell you what a half-life is. We don't measure the virus as far as how long will it live on the surface. We have to measure the decay of the virus in terms of its half-life, because we don't know certain elements. We don't know how much a person expectorates when he spits, right? When he sneezes, whatever the case may be, we don't know how much a virus is in there. So that has a bearing on how long the virus is going to be alive and active. So we measure it in half-life, because half-life doesn't change. So if you look at an 18-hour half-life, what you're basically saying is that every 18 hours, the life of the virus is cut in half. So if you start with 1,000 particles of the virus, in 18 hours, you're down to 500. In 18 hours after that, you're down to 250, and so on and so forth. That's important as I explain the rest of the chart. If you look at the first three lines, when you see the word surface, we're talking about non-porous surfaces, door handles, stainless steel. And if you look at as the temperature increases and as the humidity increases with no sun involved, you can see how drastically the half-life goes down on that virus. So the virus is dying at a much more rapid pace just from exposure to higher temperatures and just from exposure to humidity.
I'm going to stop this right here just to show you something. The very longest they have for a half-life is 18 hours on a surface, 70 to 75 degrees, 20% humidity. Do you know what that describes? That describes virtually every surface you would touch in the grocery store, inside a gas station, inside a hardware store. All of those places that were essential businesses where they said that, you're probably not as much as risk there as you would be someplace where you were breathing the air. The longest half-life, meaning the place where it stayed the longest, was on surfaces that were 70 to 75 degrees with no sunlight. I probably shouldn't. I'm just going to let him speak.
If you look at the fourth line, you inject the sunlight into that, you inject UV rays into that. The same effects on line 2 at 70 to 75 degrees with 80% humidity on the surface, and look at line 4, but now you inject the sun, the half-life goes from 6 hours to 2 minutes. That's how much of an impact the UV rays has on the virus. The last two lines are aerosols. What does it do in the air? We have a very unique capability. I was discussing this with the president prior to coming out. He wanted me to convey it to you on how we do this. I believe we're the only lab in the country that has this capability. But if you can imagine a Home Depot bucket, a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket, we're able to take a particle, and this was developed and designed by our folks at the NBAC. We're able to take a particle of the virus and suspend it in the air inside of this drum and hit it with various temperatures, various humidity levels, multiple different kinds of environmental conditions to include sunlight. And we're able to measure the decay of that virus while it's suspended in the air. This is how we do our aerosol testing. We work with Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, and we actually developed a larger drum to do actually more testing, and it's 4 times the size of that. So this is the capability that we bring to this effort. So in summary, within the conditions we've tested to date, The virus in droplets of saliva survives best in indoors and dry conditions. The virus does not survive as well in droplets of saliva, and that's important because a lot of testing being done is not necessarily being done, number one, with the COVID-19 virus, and number two, in saliva or respiratory fluids. And thirdly, the virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight under these conditions. And when you look at that chart, look at the aerosol as you breathe it. You put it in a room, 70 to 75 degrees, 20% humidity, low humidity. It lasts, the half-life is about an hour. But you get outside and it cuts down to a minute and a half. Very significant difference when it gets hit with UV rays. Mr. President, while there are many unknown links.
All right. I'm almost ready to start screaming again because you fucktards out there that ruined spring break for all these kids that are never going to get it back again. I hope you're real fucking proud of yourselves right now because the science wasn't in. But because of your own personal ridiculous insecurities and your desire to demonize the leader of this country. And look, I've not been his biggest fan, but I know when people are playing political games. This was the safest place for the entire country. On the beach, outside, in the UV rays. And what did you do? You actually put them inside where it was literally 30 to 100, maybe 1,000 times more dangerous. And in the process, you shamed them. You called them names. You've called us names. I hope you take this as a lesson. You probably won't, but it's really time to take a look inside and maybe your willingness to run inside and put all of your clothes back on and celebrate your twisted, sick, introverted lifestyles. Because you were never meant to do that. If you want to be Sheldon Cooper, whatever version of it, then fine. But when you start to go get the military and get the police to enforce your sickness on us, it's going to be on. We are never listening again. Never. Not down here. Sorry, ain't flying. And as far as you people in Idaho go, there was an incident earlier today where your police arrested a woman taking her children out into the sunshine and fresh air. Boy, I tell you what, I hope your state has a lot of money because that civil suit is going to be epic. Absolutely epic. And I take back all of my apologies for showing these images. Because this would have saved lives. If somebody would have put this out earlier and said, you know what? Find the warmest, sunniest place outside that you can imagine and go there. And go there now and go quickly. And whatever you do, don't sit inside out of the sunshine in air-conditioned, dry environments. It's a death sentence. And now they've just proven it. I'm sorry for yelling. I'm sorry for screaming. I don't normally rant. But for 2 months, we've listened to this bullshit. I could go on, and you people know you're living it. You're living the devastation of these psychopaths. What was it Sheldon Cooper said in one of the episodes? Those of you, why would I want to go outside when we spent all this time perfecting inside? Guess what? Inside ain't so fucking perfect, is it? The sun is not your enemy. And all those people walking up and down the beach, the governor of Georgia needs a medal for opening up his beaches. Because sunshine, it appears now, kills this thing dead in a matter of seconds compared to being inside. This did cost lives, and it ruined lives. Because people jumped the gun and said, oh, we know how to fix it. Oh, we know what the answer will be. Our own little sick, twisted fantasies of what we think health is. Whatever you do, don't go get a tan. Don't go jump in the ocean. Please, whatever you do, don't exercise unless it's on a treadmill. I know this, I'm sorry, but I don't get real angry about much. But this made sense. Logic was dictating this, and you could see it on the ground. Yeah, we have a bunch of quote-unquote cases in Florida, but compared to everywhere else, it's nothing. Why? Venezuela, the literal model of South America. Why? All of those states in Brazil that decided to go on lockdown against the president's desire. And he said, don't do this. Don't do this. Let people enjoy the sunshine. Get out, get some fresh air, get some exercise. That's literally why you get sick in the winter. Because people stop exercising and people all cram into the same rooms and share the same surfaces. We owe the youth of this nation an apology that probably will never be good enough. And I guess I'll just lead with it here. We tried at this channel, and apparently we didn't try hard enough. Or enough of us didn't try hard enough to get to the truth before the knee-jerk reaction. And I guess I'll just leave that there. Pray for each other. Like, share, subscribe.